There was a woman who commented on one of my pancake videos on YouTube, and so I thought I would get a little bit deeper into the pancake position as a mobility drill in this video. And her specific question or comment was that she uses her arms as a way of trying to get sort of better into the pancake stretch, to get into a straighter neutral spine and get into the pancake in a better way that way. And I'm going to explain why I don't think that that is potentially the best way to go about it if you are not quite advanced already. So I want to start by talking about the pancake position, what tissues are involved, what we are looking for with the different, with the legs and the hips and stuff. So we've got the pancake position, which is legs wide straddle like this, and then you're leaning forward into this type of position. And so when we are looking at the pancake, we want the legs to be about 120 to 160 degrees, so this type of thing. For some people, they have quite tight hips and they're going to have to start in an angle that is less than 120. That's okay. You're probably going to feel it more in your hamstrings at this stage rather than the adductors, so the inside of the thigh. But that's going to come later on. So you can definitely start in that position as well. Now, when you get into a 180 degree angle, you're obviously in the middle split. So the pancake is a straddle, that is not a middle split, that is also not a pike, which is legs facing forward. So the position we want to get into is having the legs in a neutral position or slightly externally rotated or turned out. We don't want to be in here. Now, in the leg position like that, we are looking to get the pelvis tilting forward. Some people have heard of anterior pelvic tilting, and that is when you are tilting your pelvis forward or you're untucking your pelvis. So it looks like this here. You're basically pulling your belly button down and forward. That way you can get into a forward tilting of the pelvis. So that is the components that we are looking for in terms of moving the bones and the joints around when we get into the pancake. The muscles that are going to be stretched and worked and stuff like that in the pancake is you're going to feel stretch quite likely on the inside of your thigh. The wider the legs are, the more adductors you get into. And you're also going to feel the backside, so the hamstrings as well when you get into this one. But you're also going to work with your hip flexors and your external rotators, your glute muscles to some degree as well. So we do want the pancake to be an active position or movement that you can get into with control. And so when you are moving into this one, we are actually going to utilize our hip flexors to pull ourselves deeper into this position. At the same time as we're going to utilize our external rotators of the hip to keep the legs neutral or slightly externally rotated or out to keep that position. So you're going to have some structures that are going to be put in a lengthened position, and you're going to have some structures that are going to be in a shortened position. So lengthen meaning stretching and shortening meaning contracting. Your pancake practice is going to look quite different depending on where you're at and how flexible you are in the pancake. And so if you're first starting out, it's very common to believe that you need to be on the floor, you need to have your legs straight. But I find that that is not necessarily the most efficient way to go about it. So I'm going to explain two things that you can do to get a bit faster results and just get a bit more pleasant pancake journey. So the first thing is placing yourself with the hip elevated. So actually first I'm going to say, if you're sitting on the ground here and you can barely move forward, you know that you need to do something else than being on the ground. So place yourself on an elevation. And the elevation could be this height, but it could also be, 3 or 4 times this height as well. It all depends on how flexible you are at this stage, how much elevation that you need to get the pelvis to move forward at the same time as your legs are in neutral or slightly externally rotated. So in this position, you're going to focus on keeping the ribs, so the bottom of the ribs, so you know the ribs has like an opening at the bottom of it, and the pelvis has an opening at the top of it. Those are going to face each other when you're moving here now. So we don't necessarily want to pull the belly button forward like this and keep staying in this position. It's not very nice for the back. So we actually want to draw the belly button without flaring the ribs too much. So we want to keep this strong position here. I would recommend having the hands on the ground to take a bit of load off. And then you gently move into the deepest position that you can here. So elevating of the hip is one thing. The second thing I want to mention here is that when you have your legs fully straightened, people tend to feel this a lot in the groin and or the knees, so where the muscles attach. And they don't feel too much in the belly of the muscle. And it can feel really uncomfortable, and it can be one of those things that really puts a stop to how far you can get into it. And so in the beginning, I find it a bit easier and nicer, and actually easier to tilt your pelvis if you have your knees slightly bent. So I will get into this position here on the elevation if you need that as well. And then you can gently move into it. So that is two ways that you can go about getting into the pancake position, rather than just sitting upright and trying to reach forward and not getting anywhere. This way, you put your body in a position where you can actually utilize these types of motions that we are looking for. The woman who commented said that she tended to do the pancake stretch with the arms out here. And I know that a lot of people tend to do that a bit too early on, in my opinion, as a way of keeping the back position nice and straight. But I think that placing the arms up overhead is going to put too much load on the lower back, and they can't really keep that position very well. So basically, if you are placing the hands on the chest or even on the ground, like the ground is the easiest version. When you bring them up here, you're taking more load through these structures, and it's going to be more demanding, so heavier. And then if you place the hands up here, again, it's going to be a little bit harder. And if you place them out here, it's going to be even harder. So unless you're already quite deep into it, and you can bring your arms out in front and you can lift them up so that you can get a good sort of stretch on and tilt the pelvis as a result, I don't think you need to utilize or worry about the hands up position at this stage, because it's just going to compromise your position, and it's going to put way too much load on your lower back at this point. And you might even strain something because you're just not strong enough in those positions yet. So my recommendation would be start with elevating, bending the knees to get into a better position. Do the work, and once you can get down on the floor again and you can get, fairly close to the ground here, then you can start working on the strengthening side of things by actually having the arms out in front and lifting them off the ground and such things. So I would leave the arms overhead for a bit later. If you found this video useful, let me know. If you have any questions, let me know as well. And if you have any friends who would benefit from this video, send them over to them also. Thanks for watching and have a good day.